Good afternoon on what is a mild grey and cloudy day. It is Friday the 27th of May and I'm in the reading up with a nice hot cup of tea. And genuinely something special to unbox. It is this Dark Tower, Original Adventures Reincarnated, a 5th edition conversion and classic homage to an adventure published some 40 years ago or so. This is published by Goodman Games as part of its Original Adventures Reincarnated series. The first 5 of those have been classic Dungeons and Dragons adventures from TSR Stroke Wizards of the Coast. So it began with B1 In Search of the Unknown and B2 Keeping the Borderlands. Then we had X1 The Lost Isle, Isle of Mystery, and then we've done Lost City and so on, all the way up to Temple of Elemental Evil. Now, no longer Goodman Games is no longer doing scenarios, adapting scenarios, classic scenarios from the TSR Stroke Wizards of the Coast back catalogue, which is a really big shame. However, what it is doing is going back and looking at some of the scenarios it has rights to from the Judges Guild catalogue, beginning here with Dark Tower. This is written by Jennell Jaquays, originally published in 1979 or so, and the great thing about it is 2004 there was a poll of let me see, just trying to think of noted Dungeons and Dragons authors and designers who looked at the sort of like the then sort of like 30 years of Dungeons and Dragons adventures and so on, and decided which were the best 30. And of them all, the only one that wasn't actually published by TSR or Wizards of the Coast was Dark Tower. So that's how good this scenario is. So, an ancient evil has come rooted in the once peaceful village of Mitra's Fist. Thus, the sleepy mountain hamlet has become a focal point for mysterious disappearances and whispered tales of what lurks beneath the village. Would any group of heroes dare investigate the rumours, seek to right ancient wrongs, or even attempt to clash against the dark forces of a god? This is no quest for the weak of faith or strength. Below the cellars of Mitra's Fist are dungeons with foul enemies and cursed followers, but also strange allies and holy relics, ready for discovery in the final battle against the forces of unspeakable evil. This slipcase set contains 3 volumes of 5th edition adventure. Explore the complete Dark Tower adventure and the neighbouring village of Mitra's Fist, plus additional wilderness adventures and information, and a new campaign arc to defeat the chosen sons of Sek. Also included are scans of the original vintage publications and historical commentary. This is a homage to the classic adventure written by Jennell Jaquays and originally published in 1979. Untold riches, ultimate power, and undying glory and gruesome death can all be found in Dark Tower. There we go. So, now then, so this is number 7 in the line. What I'm going to do with this is, as you can see, it's 3 books. Okay. Sorry. There we go. And I am going to unbox them one by one. Okay, because otherwise it's going to be too long a video. So there'll be 3 parts to this series. So let's get the knife into this and slice this open. Nice and gentle. And quite tight, slipping out. So you have it doesn't quite come out. So you've got the 3 books, and so my starting point is this. This is Dark Tower, the classic adventure, and this adventure has never been presented in this fashion. It's never been a hardback. The original would have been really kind of published on quite pulpy paper, because that's what Judges Guild did, not particularly high quality. Goodman Games have reprinted it since on a better book, a little paperback, softback book. but never quite as a hardback like this. And this is a really like, it's a lovely looking book, and it really captures that kind of colour that you had on the cover of the original. This kind of this green colour, and as you can see, it's better produced inside the book there, and then we've got we start off with basically the same kind of description. So with the description, essentially, this is what you would get on the back of the Judges Guild version. So, an ancient evil has overtaken a once holy shrine. Thus, a sleepy mountain hamlet becomes a focal point for mysterious disappearances and even strange legends of what lurks beneath the village. Would a group of adventurous souls dare to probe the facts that lie behind the myths, or seek to write ancient novels, rescue secreted artifacts, or even attempt to exterminate the source of evil in self? This is no quest for the weak of spirit or strength. Beyond the cellars of Mitra's fist lie strong allies and strange enemies, undead and undying, each seeking to involve the unwary in a titanic battle of good against evil, which can only end in destruction. Riches, power and glory and death, all are in Dark Tower. And this is essentially what would have been on the back cover to your copy of Dark Tower back in 1979. So, go. And we have credits there, original design Jennell Jaquays, and then the new authors as well. Basically updating it, and we've got basically 5th edition editors and so on. And there's also a version of Dungeon Crawl Classics if you prefer that one. My problem is essentially all of the ones I have are in the original Adventures Reincarnated off of 5th edition, and this is the first one that's kind of for Dungeon Crawl Classics on its, and I wanted to go, I really wish I could have, had both, but you're kind of going, Anyway, so there is you open up, and it's not just, the classic adventure, it's not just that. You have an explanation of the phrase Jaquaying the dungeon, basically, discussing how Jennell would create her dungeons, how her dungeon design stood out and was different from other designers. Multiple entrances, loops, secret and unusual paths, multiple level connections and so on, sub-levels, nested dungeons, and so on, and her philosophy of design. And you can see that in this kind of cross-section of the dungeon itself, which is really comprised of 2 towers. One of Set's tower, one of Mitra's tower, both interlinked, and that would have appeared in the original dungeon as well, from what I recall, because I've not looked at this probably for something like over 15 years. We've got some actually, some idea of how to develop that idea. So you've got an interesting introduction to the idea. Then we've got a piece by James Malazinski, who is famed for his Grognadia blog, and also for his own big dungeon Dwemer Mount, which I have a connection with because I edited the last section of it, or I edited the whole thing, and really just helped bring it to fruition. Great project to work on. We've got Dark Tower level connections again. Going back to that piece on Jaquaying the dungeon, but basically how do you decay the dungeon? The philosophy, but there we have it put into practice with the Dark Tower description, dungeon overview, level connections, and so on. Just giving that there for the dungeon master, and then overview of the dungeon. There we go. Stephen Newton, who has authored many horror adventures for Dungeon Crawl Classics. You kind of go, you've got kind of like the original versions there and the pictures. You've got the Goodman Games version just there, which is the one I have, which the other one I have somewhere and reviewed many years ago. And then there's an interesting piece by John D. Ratcliffe, and it says why I nominated Dark Tower to the top 30. Now this is a callback to the article which I referenced to the pages of Dungeon magazine which is essentially Dungeon Magazine 30 Greatest Adventures of All Time, published in 2004. Why that was he did that. That's really great. I really like that. Return to Dark Tower, and it's why go back to it, and then we go on to Dark Tower Level 1 expansion. We've got extra content with notes from the publisher. And then we here begin with the adventure proper. And the thing is, if you just had this book on its own, you'd be happy with this. Honestly, I think, you go, yeah, this is just what I want, I don't need anything else. And you could run this you could take this piece away from the book, away from the slipcase, and run the whole thing without needing to reference the other. We don't need to reference the 5th edition section, unless you want to. So, essentially, we have the beginning. This is a complete reprint. So we've got designer comments here. Overview, I've got an area map. Now this is very much cleaned up. Essentially, Judges Guild Dungeons and content were never known for that, just how for being cleanly, tidily presented and produced. But here you have the opportunity to do that by Goodman Games. So, you've got a nice map, you've got an explanation of what's going on, Set versus Mitra, and that balance between the two, good versus evil, the artifacts for both sides, Tavern of Wandering Monsters, details of the Lions of Mitra, Forces of Good, and then the Sons of Set, the cultists, evil cultists. Some great illustrations along the way, and then you delve straight into the history of the region, so you can basically got a good background, again, and a description of Mitra's Fist. It's very text dense, and then you've got sort of like movement aspects of this, like the caravan of Mumchadar and the brigands and waylayers in the night. So you've got a couple of things going on, getting involved with the caravan, stopping the brigands and waylayers, that sort of thing, and then a description of Mitra's Fist, the village, also known as Mitra's Curse, with the sort of the towers just a looming presence, even though underground for most of their structure. And there they might encounter Avacris, the merchant who kind of governs the town, and basically he's got a manor, and then various locations in the village are described. And you've got sort of like some illustrations there, which all give the impression that sort of like there's a that the inhabitants and passers-by really are a scurvy bunch. And then we get into the Dark Tower Dungeon Level 1. Classic kind of looking dungeon. Descriptions of, that's just level 1. Quite a lot of detail there, different locations. So we're even up to 40 locations just on level 1. Then we move on to level 2, which is much more open. So just to compare the two maps, you've got the reprinting of that. I say basically reprint. It's been reprinted elsewhere, but the side view of the two towers alongside each other. We've got that dungeon there, just to show you just how cramped and detailed that is versus the second level. And then we get down to the third level. Let me show you that in a bit more detail. And then some illustrations, some kind of handouts there. And on the fourth level, reprint of that again, and then we're into the White Tower of Mitras, having explored the Tower of Set. And you've got sort of like a handout, which is essentially the shield, but marked with a dungeon map. And more great artwork. And a proper demon at the end there. And just a reprint of the back cover blurb there, and you have a new pieces of artwork. So this is, that was, let's see that reprinted again. That appeared on the Free RPG Day adventure for Dungeon Crawl Classics, and another piece of artwork again. This involving sort of like the snake creatures of Set. So in future unboxings, I will get to this one, which is the 5th edition conversion and classic homage, and then this one, which is the Chosen Sons of Set campaign expansion. But I'm absolutely glad that I started off with this one. This is a really lovely homage to a classic scenario, really crispy, cleanly presented once again. This is giving it the treatment that you kind of wish that Judges Guild would have been able to, but just didn't have the ambition to at the time. And if you're a fan of classic dungeons, absolutely go out and find a copy of this. If you're a fan of role-playing history, I think this is worth getting as well. I think you're impressed by it. Just how the quality of the writing from 40 years ago, 45 years ago now. Anyway, in the meantime, thanks for watching another unboxing of Nook. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I appreciate that if you've got any comments or feedback, please post those below. I do read them. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings of Nook, where you will see me out here with, well, in this case, a slipcase from which I will unbox the constituent parts of the Dark Tower Original Adventures Reincarnated dungeon published by Goodman Games, and talk about it to the best of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. For roughly 10 minutes or so, bit more of course, then please do hit the subscribe button down below. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook, and I will be back again very soon with the next part of unboxing the Dark Tower slipcase edition, which will be this. But in the meantime, I've really enjoyed looking at this. Thanks for watching another unboxing in the Nook. Be back again soon. Bye for now.